Tzu Chi volunteers in South Africa successfully complete 12 winter aid distributions for impoverished communities. A marathon runner from Malaysia suffering from cerebral palsy takes up the challenge of cycling around the island of Taiwan.
Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Duncan, DeAeth, and thank you for joining us. In South Africa, the gap between rich and poor is still very wide. Every year, Tzu Chi volunteers host a large-scale winter aid distribution for poor families. Preparing for the event is a complex process. It includes visiting impoverished families in the community, compiling a list of the needy, and finally, carrying out the distribution. This year, a total of 12 aid distribution events benefited about 2,000 households. Tzu Chi's dedication for more than 30 years is slowly helping reduce poverty in these communities.
From the bird's eye view of this area, a border between the rich and the poor can be clearly seen. There's even a golf course owned by the rich just next to the slum areas. All of this demonstrates the wide gap between the rich and poor in South Africa. Tzu Chi volunteers from South Africa bring aid supplies to the poor families in Bloemfontein every year, despite the long journey they have to take. After receiving the bag of rice, the care recipients in the community finally show smiles on their faces.
I say thank you for those things that you have given us. We love you. Thank you.
We want to thank Tzu Chi Foundation for coming here and bringing us home and love in this winter.
These kids are holding a bag of rice, which is full of warmth and hope. During the month, Tzu Chi volunteers have hosted 12 consecutive aid distribution events in communities, elementary schools, and junior high schools.
Not many people know how many kids go home without food. Thank you very much for this wonderful gesture.
Volunteers from Taiwan feel grateful and happy because they made it on time to be a part of the 11th aid distribution.
I feel proud to wear this Tzu Chi vest because this is a way to show honor, responsibility, and kindness.
After receiving aid supplies from Tzu Chi, these recipients also carry out the act of giving by putting some of their coins into Tzu Chi's bamboo coin banks, hoping to give a little back to society despite their difficult situation.
Liu Zidong was just 26 years old, and though her life wasn't very long, she made the most of it, never wasting a single moment. She was with her family until the very end. Her final wishes included making a donation to her school as well as donating her body to medical science through Tzu Chi's Silent Donor Program.
Mrs. Liu is making a donation on the behalf of her daughter, who recently passed away. She's not sad but full of pride as her daughter, Liu Zitong, from the age of 4, suffered from a lymphatic disease. The cost of medical treatment was a major burden on the single-parent family, but with the help of the school and the community, this family was able to live more comfortably. Although her daughter passed away recently, she wanted to give back to the community through this final gift.
She didn't want her classmates to feel any economic hardship, so they can study in peace and feel comfortable here, as well as learn and gain admission to college, much like her.
During her stay at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital, Zitong often visited the hospice ward, where she cared for those near the end of their life.
She went to comfort those that were immobile and bedridden. We can all see that she is a young girl not frightened by illness.
At the last moment of her life, Zitong also decided to make one final gift, contributing her own body to medical students to learn and study from, potentially using her battle with illness to find a cure for others in the future.
Many families face difficult decisions when it comes to the medical treatment of family members. Burdens of medical expenses and individual circumstances often make deciding the right course of action for treatment a stressful experience. At Tzu Chi hospitals, doctors encourage patients and family members to have open dialogue with their physicians. A meeting about shared medical decision-making was recently held at Taipei's Tzu Chi Hospital. Let's take a look.
This performance is depicting a patient suffering from cancer near the end of her life. At such a stage, the patient relies on external life support to stay alive. Although no family wants to experience such a situation, many families have been faced with such a decision.
Seeing patients in their last moments with their family members, when none of them could have prepared themselves for something like this, then we have to discuss the final options. If the patient has already lost consciousness, then it is up to the family members to decide. This is an unimaginable burden on the family.
When a patient needs help, we discuss things with the patient and their family and the doctors. This creates a spirit of cooperation.
The situation of patients always varies from age, economics, and family support. Often, the latest treatment methods are not the most suitable for every patient. Mrs. Peng, for example, who suffers from diabetes, discussed matters thoroughly with her doctor to decide on the best treatment plan for her.
I'm not afraid. I will talk to the doctor and tell him where it hurts, where it's uncomfortable. The doctor will only speak gently to make you comfortable. He may tell you that although you are suffering, we are all here. We will figure out what to do next.
According to foreign medical research reports, allowing mutual decision-making for patient treatment also tends to correlate to lower risks of complications and overall medical expenses. Everyone agrees such practices make the experience of receiving medical treatment much less stressful.
According to the Ministry of Health, in Taiwan there are nearly 7,000 cases of documented rare genetic disorders. For those suffering from such disorders in Taiwan's eastern regions, seeking timely care can be a serious problem and a burden for family members. Now, we'll meet a 17-year-old boy, Xie Chen An, who suffers from a very rare and debilitating disease known as maple syrup urine disease. We'll see how his mother and doctors at Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital have been caring for him since he was born.
He's never even worn shoes or stretched out in the bed from birth until now.
17-year-old Xie Chun An suffers from a severe disease known as maple syrup urine disease. It affects the body's ability to produce normal amino acids. It leads to severe physical and mental disabilities. Chun An requires a special diet and must make doctor visits regularly. But the trip from Yuli to Hualien is 90 kilometers one way.
We didn't have a car before. Calling for the special bus cost a lot. Each trip is almost $60, and one trip to the Hualien is 2 hours. So we decided to buy an old used SUV. It's much more convenient taking him to the doctor now.
As a single mother, the burden of taking care of Xie Chunan is exhausting, mentally and physically, as well as economically. Because of the hassle of traveling to the hospital, the family's visits for treatment became infrequent. Dr. Zhu Xiaoming at Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital decided to solve the problem by delivering treatment directly to their home.
If he couldn't make it out, then we had to go to him. Afterwards, we decided that every 3 months we would go and take a sample from him. I've been making home visits ever since he was very small.
The medical care team's home visits have been helping reduce the mother's burden for the last 14 years. To keep his disorder in check, doctors monitor his nutritional levels and screen his organs to be sure they are functioning properly.
We will continue to visit him and make regular reports on his health. These checks will help him maintain a balanced state of health.
Dr. Zhu has come so often. Sometimes I'm quite embarrassed because she has been so kind to us, caring for my boy, yet we don't follow with medical checkups on time. I feel like we are such an inconvenience to her.
Under the leadership of Dr. Zhu, the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital's Pediatric Counseling Center has been a resource for parents and children dealing with rare genetic disorders or birth defects since 2004. Currently, the center is assisting 150 families dealing with such problems through their house calls.
Hualien has always been a region where patients have had difficulty with their follow-up visits due to the distance and transportation problems. It's fine, we'll just try other strategies as long as we can take care of the children.
Doctors in Taiwan's eastern regions, like Dr. Zhu, have taken on the formidable task of caring for patients like Xie Chen An. No matter how difficult, these medical professionals are dedicated to caring for those in need, as well as their families.
Eradicating the white puppeneck is a difficult task. Thankfully, a research team from National Pingdong University of Science and Technology and the Taiwan Forestry Research Institute worked together to develop a method to clear this invasive plant species before reforestation can take place. Their methods just may protect Taiwan's fragile ecology from the dangers of this fast-spreading invasive species. Follow our report as we take a closer look.
The spread of the white papanak is threatening forests around the island, with the Taiwan Forestry Research Institute cooperating with National Pingdong University of Science and Technology for a new method to remove this invasive plant.
那等一下就是会做
The process is we will drill a small hole and then inject medicine. The hole only needs to be about 1 centimeter for such a small tree.
First, a hole is drilled into the trunk and then an injection with a syringe is prepared.
我们现在用化学药
We are using chemical injections to kill it one by one so it won't sprout new shoots.
This yellow liquid is a herbicide, and after the injection is over, the hole is covered with a silicone seal to prevent the outflow of this chemical.
我们注射3
When we do an injection of 3 cc's, it takes about half a year. Within about a week, all the leaves will have withered away, and probably after 6 months, it is completely dried up.
The plan to inject the trees individually rather than spraying in entire areas to avoid drug residues, causing secondary damage to the environment.
我们注射去以后
After injecting this, we take samples at regular intervals to see if there are any residual chemicals. Often there's only a few ppms left, a very small amount, meaning there is no public safety problem.
From drilling to injections and sealing holes, the entire process may take less than 20 seconds. It's quite efficient when compared to other deforestation efforts, and from a cost point of view, it's also a good way to carry out operations. In addition to this work, the research team has also carried out detailed field work with scientific instruments and identified 16 kinds of native plants that are suitable to defeat the white papanak.
我们刚刚就是透过光合作用仪器
We used a photosynthesis instrument to learn that the white papanak is very responsive to light, which allows it to grow quickly. Some trees prefer darker space, which is a shade tree. We have come to better understand different trees' prefer habitat.
这个就是知己知彼
This is how we utilize knowledge of the ecology to deal with white papanak.
Their strategy also carries over to reforestation with weed trees.
这个是构树
This paper mulberry tree grows very fast and can be effective in defending against the white papanak. No one has used it yet, but this is our secret weapon.
However, one secret weapon alone won't win the battle, as there are 3 layers in this reforestation plan. The upper layer requires a lot of sun like the paper mulberry, while the mid-level is more tolerant, with the bottom being very adapted to shade. This effectively blocks out the light the white papanak needs to survive, but does it work? Seeing is believing.
This is actually the testing ground for ecological studies. This is the sea mango, the Taiwan loquat. This is the large-leaved banyan, planchonella, Navis eretia. They are all marked, and this is Ficus septica, has already grown up, providing lots of shade. Using sun-receptive species to provide coverage for shade-tolerant species, leading to a second and third layer, this becomes a 3-dimensional configuration to block out the white papanak.
In this shady wood, a variety of native trees and plants live in harmony, helping maintain the ecology of native species.
当初我们在做这个 When we started doing this reforestation work, I actually saw a coconut crop active in this area.
是啊我们已经
In fact, we believe that we are already 95% successful.
First injecting herbicides and then undertaking intensive reforestation has successfully inhibited the spread of white papanak. These research results have been transferred to the forestry units and are incorporated into future ecological restoration work to prevent the spread of the white papanak.
Next, we'll meet a 32-year-old man, Tzu Chi, who suffers from cerebral palsy. However, despite life's difficulties, they aren't slowing him down. Mr. Tzu is a respected marathon runner in his native Malaysia and has been competing in events there since 2004. Recently, he arrived in Taiwan to set off on a biking tour around the island to fulfill one of his life's ambitions. Let's see how he's preparing for his 13-day tour.
With his hands trembling, he requires the help of others to put on his equipment. This is Tzu Chi from Malaysia. Although he suffers from cerebral palsy, he is still a well-known marathon runner. He has also long held the desire to cycle around the island of Taiwan.
会不会累啊？
不会累。
有没有很高兴环台一周？
蛮高兴的，可以这样子。
可以很高兴啊。
体验台湾的驾车的一个风土民情。
这个换挡，这个是刹车，这样。你看这里刹两个都一起刹，同步刹车。
In order to help Mr. Tzu Chi make his dreams a reality, 72-year-old volunteer Mr. Song Mingxiang has prepared a modified tricycle for Mr. Tseng. Mr. Song will also serve as a guide and companion on the trip. This will be the result of plans that were first hatched 3 years ago.
When I first met Zheng Zhilong, I had a sense that this was a young man with perseverance. One thing I learned from him was that in life, you never stop learning.
活到老学到老。
As a marathon runner, Mr. Tseng's strength is not a problem, but he still runs into the problem of a punctured tire. However, he doesn't give up and faces the challenges with an optimistic attitude.
Life may not always be easy, and you will always run into challenges, but this is what makes life more exciting.
Departing Taipei on the 28th of August, Tzu Chi hopes that he can keep his positive energy and encourage others over the course of 13 days. He reminds us all that with courage and perseverance, we can overcome all obstacles.
August 31st is the National Day for Malaysia. To celebrate, Tzu Chi kindergartens held various activities to teach children the importance of multiculturalism and to celebrate their love for the nation.
The children of Tzu Chi kindergarten in Kedah ride their tricycles with the national flags through the street to celebrate the National Day of Malaysia. The children also learn their history through games, so they understand the meaning of multiculturalism.
Not just Chinese, we can also be friends with Malays and Hindus.
We won't slither or argue. We must be united.
In Kuala Lumpur, children wear traditional dresses to liven up their festivities. Their teachers also use the chance to introduce their country and tasty food of every race. The children also learn the importance of harmony.
要感恩马来西亚，马来西亚给我们很多东西吃。
很爱马来西亚。
要做环保，吃素，要砍树。就希望马来西亚所有的人都拉拉手。
When they learn to be grateful and understanding, the country will become more united.
Tzu Chi volunteers were caring for an elderly care recipient in Kaohsiung for many years before she recently passed away. Her daughter was very heartbroken after the loss of her mother. Volunteers were there to console her and the family to help them through this tough time. After the loving care from volunteers, the care recipient's husband decided he would become a Tzu Chi member.
Ating is a woman who loves drawing. On this day, she is drawing her mother. Her mother had been sick for a while, but her mother remained strong throughout her sickness. Unfortunately, her mother still passed away due to a lung disease. As Ating used to look after her mother's passing had not only upset her, but she also blames herself for it. Tzu Chi volunteers came to pay their condolences and guide her to find an outlet for her emotion.
Drawing is a good way to remember your mom. You can put your love into drawing the picture.
In remembrance of their mother, Ating and her brother will do good deeds in their mother's name.
I want to donate money to Tzu Chi in my mom's name to help poor people.
I wish Mom will be happy in heaven and she won't be sick anymore.
The two siblings had been donating this coin back many times as their prayer for their mother. Now they'll donate everything in the coin bag to Tzu Chi, and their father also has chosen to do the same thing. The whole family came to know Tzu Chi because of their mother and have formed a good affinity with Tzu Chi. And Tzu Chi will continue keeping them company on their path in life.
The Tzu Chi Philippines chapter collaborated with local enterprises to host a 21-day vegetarian campaign, offering veggie dishes for 1,088 staff each day. The boss of a construction company, Felino Jun Palafox, a famous architect in the Philippines, was one participant, leading all of his staff to eat meatless food. He has become an outspoken advocate for vegetarianism, as his health dramatically improved after adopting a vegetarian diet for the past 6 months.
The architect Felino Jun Palafox looks very well and energetic at this meeting. He has suffered from strokes, but now he no longer has to fight this battle.
My sugar has gone down, uric acid has down, cholesterol has gone down. I lost 2 inches from my neckline, 5 inches from my waistline, and 35 pounds.
Thanks to a meeting in February this year, Palafox has freed himself from hyperglycemia, hyperlipidemia, and hypertension. At that time, he traveled to Hualien in Taiwan to discuss the reconstruction work of a school in Nepal with Master Zheng Yan. After Master saw his mobility issues due to stroke, she suggested he adopt a vegetarian diet. Surprisingly, his condition has apparently improved after going meat-free after only 6 months.
So the Master has nuggets of wisdom beyond spirituality. It seems he's a good doctor also, or medical advisor.
Now he has become a promoter of vegetarian fare. During the 7th lunar month, Tzu Chi Philippines chapter hosted a 21-day vegetarian campaign, eagerly encouraging architects and staff members from many different companies to join in.
Personally, I lost 5 pounds. My colleagues also look lighter than before.
I think I have become thinner, not that heavy anymore.
The 21-day vegetarian campaign has been highly supported by many enterprises in Manila, with 1,088 people participating in this event, enjoying veggie dishes each day. Volunteers felt grateful and happy despite the fact that they had to sleep in the Jingsa Hall and start preparing vegetarian meals at 1 a.m.
I would never learn how to cook such delicious vegetarian food if I didn't join in Tzu Chi.
When cooking vegetarian food, we can also make it delicious. For example, it also tastes great without adding meat in curries.
Many have discovered the benefits of embracing vegetarianism after taking part in this campaign and will continue to spread this message to people around them.
In Thailand, Tzu Chi volunteers held an aid distribution and activities to honor mothers, since Mother's Day in Thailand was in late August. That's all the time we have for today. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.